Hey everyone, my name is Omid Kamangar and I'm back with another video tutorial. Today I'll be talking about array methods in ES6 and the focus of today will be on the array map of method. So I have a blank HTML document here, and at the bottom of the page I'm including a JavaScript file called app.js, and inside app.js I have defined an array of book objects, and each book has a title, an author, and a page count. On the left side, I have opened the HTML document, and also on the bottom of the page, I have opened the developer tools. So imagine that we have this list of books, this list of book objects, and I want to create a URL for each of these books. So first thing that I need to do is convert the titles to a slugified version. And then I want to generate a unique URL for each of these books. So the first thing that I need to do is write a slugify function. If you recall from previous video, we wrote a slugify function and also a URL helper. And if you haven't watched that video, you can click on the link in the pop-up and watch that video before you go on with this one. I will create a slugify function here. So const slugify. It's a function and it accepts a string, and it returns the string to lowercase. First, we need to lowercase it, and then we want to replace all the non-alphanumeric characters in the string. So if there is a single quotation, just like here, we want to replace it. If there is a space, we want to replace it with a dash. And so we just want to keep the letters and the numbers if there are any. So I will pass in a regular expression here, and the regular expression I want to have small letters, capital letters, and also digits. Anything other than that, I want to replace with a dash. And in order for that to work, I have to pass a negative look ahead here. So this is the slugify function here. Note that since this is a one-line function and all it does is return a value, I can remove the curly brackets and move the function body to the previous line and also get rid of the return statement. But because I don't have much real estate here, I want to put it in different lines so you can see the whole line. So now let's test this slugify function. So console.log slugify, and let's pass in books 2 and the title of the last book. So if I reload the page, you can see that it only replaces the first occurrence of the white space, and that's because I haven't provided the G flag to make it global. If I reload now, you can see that everything is working fine. Let's try the first one that we have here to see if it replaces the single quotation. So this time I'll pass in books 0, and yes, it does. So the slugify function works correctly, and now I want to go over the list of the books, and for each book I want to slugify the title and maybe put it in a new array. So in the old days, in pre-ES6 versions, this is what I would do. Let titles equals a new empty array, and then for books for each, I would have a function, and this function would accept the book. So the idea here is I'm going over each of these books and grab the book that is passed in, and then I slugify the book title, and I want to push in the new slugified title into the titles array. So titles.push and the slugified version. And at the end, we can console.log the titles array to see the results. If I reload the page, you can see that we have the slugified version of each title. But this is quite verbose, and with the new array methods and with the array map method, we can make it much cleaner and less verbose. So let's do that now. So we have the books array, and we can call books.map, and the map function, the map method, it accepts a callback, and so it's a normal function, and this callback accepts a few parameters. The first one is the book for each instance of the book, each object in the list. So we have 3 books here, and each time one of these books is passed in. And the next argument is the index that we have, so 0, 1, 2, and the last one is the whole array itself. But here I want to keep it simple, and all I want is the book itself. So we have each book, so books.map function book. So, and let's console.log the book. And if I reload the page again, you can see that it console logs each book that we have. Now, instead of this, we can simply return the slugified book title. So if I reload the page, and you can't see this because we are not console logging anything, console.log, and then the slugified version of the book. So as you can see, it's already less verbose and much cleaner. But since we are doing ES6, we can make it even better. In the previous video, we learned about arrow functions, and we have already used it here. So let's use an arrow function here too. So I'll get rid of these, and so books.map, and because we have just one argument here, it's the book, we don't need the parentheses. So it accepts a book, and it's a function which returns the slugified version of the book.title, and that's it. Now we can store it in an array, or we can just console.log it, so we can see the results. And if I reload the page, you can see that we get the same result that we had before. So you can see it's just one line of code. It's much cleaner. It's less verbose. And we can build on this, what we have here. Now, if we imagine that we have a URL helper, just like the one that we had in the previous video. So we would have a book URL function, which is an arrow function which accepts a slug, and all it does is return a string, for example, https example.com/books, and then the slug that we have. It's just a simple example to demonstrate what we can do with the array.map function. So now we have the book URL function and also the slugify function, and we can use two map functions here to generate routes for each of the book objects that we have. So let's see that in action. We have the books.map statement here. It generates the slugify titles for each of the books, and now we can pass that array to another map function, and this time it gives us an array of slugs, just like what we had here. So this time you have a slug, and all we want to do with that slug is to print or return the book URL for the slug. And if I reload the page, this time it will break. Why? Because sulg is not defined. Let's see. Yeah, here instead of slug, I'm calling sulg, and definitely it would break. Now refresh it again, and then we have the list of the URLs that we have. So in just one line of code, we call this slugify function on each book title. It gives us an array of the slugify titles, and then we pass in that array to the map method again, and this time it gives us an array of slugs, and we can iterate over that. And then for each of those slugs, we generate a book URL, and at the end, we console log that array. So we have an array of unique URLs for each book. So as you can see, this is much cleaner and as I said, less verbose. And array.map gives us a lot of power, a lot of functionality. But one thing to bear in mind, one thing that you need to have in mind is that each time you call array.map, it generates a new array for you. So if you have a very large array and you chain it several times, it might get slow. So keep that in mind when you are using the array.map function, array.map method. It generates a new array for you. So I hope you have enjoyed this one too. If you like this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel and also click on the bell icon so you get notified every time I publish a new video. And I think that's it for today, and see you in the next one.